Hey, welcome back everyone. It is now December 19th of 2021 and we're only getting closer to the official release of the Book of Boba Fett in just a little over 1 week from now on December 29th. Fans around the globe are finally going to be able to see exactly what Rodriguez, Favreau, and Filoni as well as Lucas put together to really kind of fill the gaps in between Empire and Return of the Jedi, as well as the events after Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and how it enters into the Mandoverse. So basically the Boba Fett series is going to jump around a bit, which is pretty exciting. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and give me a follow on there. I do post a couple of entertaining things from time to time and really make sure to interact with you guys further. So, what's the deal with, of course, George, John, and Dave, and what's really been going on behind the scenes for the past number of months? Well, we already know that they're working on The Mandalorian Season 3 and the Ahsoka Tano series simultaneously, while they're actually preparing the pre-production phase for The Mandalorian Season 4. Now, we've talked about Season 4 a couple of times here and there. What they're going to be doing for Season 4 that's going to be quite special is that it's not going to necessarily be called Season 4. It's going to be called The Mandalorian with a subtitle. So basically, it's going to be The Mandalorian blank, whatever it may be, in order to kind of market the fact that it's not just going to be about The Mandalorian, it's going to be about The Mandalorian and everybody associated with that character, such as Luke, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, Boba Fett, and other characters jumping in. That's going to work hand in hand. So, beyond all of this, we already know that Disney CEO Bob Chapek has been doing a pretty good job at really allowing John and Dave to do as they please with the new Star Wars universe, not allowing Kathleen Kennedy to take control over all these new Star Wars stories and only having her involved with the Acolyte TV series, thankfully. However, given that Kathleen Kennedy is still having issues with the Acolyte TV show by Leslye Headland and trying to get back on schedule for the series, both John and Dave are moving along smoothly with their new Star Wars TV shows in development that will truly reunite the Star Wars fandom. Now, I subscribed, however, that recently Bob Chapek engaged in an interview to discuss the future of Star Wars and what John and Dave are really up to for these new Star Wars TV shows. Bob Chapek went on to warn fans about something with John and Dave's vision for Star Wars, where Bob Chapek went on to say that what both of these talented creators are putting together, I want to warn you, is going to be bold and unexpected, and that there may be some controversial choices that will be made for the Star Wars installments on Disney+. We want to make sure that we will be borrowing many things from Star Wars Legends and visions from George Lucas at the core that's going to be used as source material. However, what I really, of course, also want to warn to the fans is that much of that Legends source material we will be using will not be 100% accurate to those stories, and that many aspects will be changed here and there to better fit the story and some of the new characters becoming a part of the large world that John and Dave are putting together. We want to make sure that we are not misleading any fans out there about how we are going to be using Legends. For John and Dave, it's about cherry-picking many of the Legends characters and placing them into these new eras and situations that take place in this timeline that Mr. Favreau created back in 2019. Now, Favreau, of course, thankfully, however, we are, of course, going to stay as true as possible to the Star Wars Legends lore and all the material that was created before we actually bought Lucasfilm. I want to admit that we did make some mistakes in the past and when it came to the sequels. However, now it's my job to guide, of course, those like John and Dave and what we need to do to evolve this brand into something truly spectacular. Bob Chapek went on to state that we're also looking at creating stories that will go out of range of what's to be expected for Star Wars that we believe is going to be very surprising to those that supported the franchise for decades. Now, let me just stop right here for 1 second. The thing about this that I think some fans might be a little on edge over is the fact that a lot of the Legends, stories, characters, worlds, and scenarios that are going to be taken from those stories from the 1990s and the early 2000s and being placed into the Disney canon. What Bob Chapek is warning us fans is that it's not going to be 100% accurate to a T. And that's understandable because at the end of the day, they never really got to start fresh just using Legends with the sequel trilogy movies. They kind of have to work around those films. And so basically what he's saying is that a lot of those Legends scenarios, right? A lot of those stories, like from the Thrawn trilogy or Dark Empire or the New Jedi Order books. I mean, I do suggest that you guys check those out. But those actual stories are going to be used in a different light and will be as accurate as possible, but not 100% accurate. So don't expect, Legends to be used beat for beat in the new Star Wars universe. So moving on from this and what Chapek had to say, alright, he goes on to state that it's also worth noting that we want to warn fans also that the choices that we are going to make in many of these new TV shows and future films and projects are going to really create opportunities to eventually spawn new characters and new adventures that will branch from already established characters in the Star Wars lore. We are going to be making choices that will create big impacts on all the Star Wars trilogies. I believe that is one thing I want to warn to the fans the most about, that these new stories will change some views of established lore in the prequels, originals, and sequels and beyond. We're additionally separate from all of this in what Chapek stated. Chapek is getting ready to announce new Star Wars films at Celebration of 2022 this May. That is actually going to stretch multiple years to fill the roadmap of the franchise for sure. In addition to all of that, Bob Chapek is also preparing to make big announcements for the Ahsoka Tano series at Star Wars Celebration of 2022, giving fans a little bit more information on the full cast, and of course what's really happening with Ezra Bridger and Grand Admiral Thrawn's project. So beyond all of this, what's really exciting about what Chapek had to say here is the fact that these new stories will not only have impacts on the originals and the prequels in a positive sense, thankfully. It's not going to be done in a negative sense. They only want to make us view those movies in a different, positive way, and they're going to be changing some of the actual Star Wars lore that's intact, kind of giving more meaning to certain things. The thing that I'm excited about is the fact that these new stories are going to have a big impact on the sequel trilogy movies. To me, in my mind, the sequels are very flawed. They're extremely flawed, in my opinion, and they really do need some reworking, and that's exactly what John and Dave are doing with the Mandoverse and how it's going to work its way into the sequel trilogy and kind of changing aspects of that. I know some fans out there are rolling their eyes right now saying, why in the world would John and Dave want to roll things into the sequel trilogy? Well, basically, Jon Favreau signed on for Star Wars in the first place because he didn't really agree with Rian Johnson's take on The Last Jedi and really wants to fix some things about Luke Skywalker and exactly what he has really been up to, of course, between the events of Episode 6 and Episode 7 and everything that comes in between of 7, 8, and 9. That, to me, I think is interesting, the fact that Jon Favreau wants to change some meaning to all of that, the overall structure of why Luke Skywalker went into hiding. Jon Favreau is going to also be changing that as well. We talked about that a couple of months to a year ago, actually. But anyways, I think that what they're ultimately trying to achieve here, especially what Bob Chapek unveiled, is that they really want to make it concrete and known to fans that the Legends material, the source material from Legends that's coming into Star Wars, alright? It is not going to be 100% accurate. And I think that's to be expected anyways, but he just wants to let the fans know that they are going to be making them as accurate as they can, but given the situation and given where they are, based upon the consequences of the sequels being in existence, they have to work around that and really kind of implement those stories in different time periods, if that makes sense. So overall, guys, I would love to hear what you have to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.